All right, we are live. Hello and welcome everyone to the 49th episode of the IT India Digital Conversations. We wanted to begin this year's first episode with a bang, and we decided to deep dive into this topic of metaverse and unlock its true potential in our session today. I'm Suman Bhaumik. It's so good to see all of you after a gap of 2-3 months. I host this series for the IT in India, and I also lead the events and business for the IT here. Now, before we start off with the discussions around the session, for uh, most of you who know about the IT, it requires little or no introduction. But for those of you who have joined us fresh today, I'll take a couple of minutes to tell you a little bit about the IT and what we do. The Institution of Engineering and Technology, also known as the IT, is a 150 years old organization inspiring, informing, and influencing the engineering community to engineer a better world. As a diverse home across engineering and technology, we share knowledge that helps make better sense of the world to solve the challenges that matter. At IET India, we want to grow actionable knowledge, we want to solve India-centric engineering issues, and want to enhance people's lives using technology and thought leadership to drive innovation. Now, I have a short video with me which talks a little bit about what the IT is and how you could benefit if you join IT. I'll just play that.
Our world is changing.
Engineering is changing.
Society is changing.
We are changing.
We're here to inspire,
Inform.
Influence.
And change perceptions.
Demonstrating how important engineers and technicians are in our lives.
Championing achievements.
Helping to create new technologies that enable us to thrive.
And inspiring future generations to make a difference.
Together, we discover new concepts by turning theory into practice.
Create solutions to society's biggest challenges.
Share knowledge and expertise through our networks.
Grow by developing new skills and capabilities.
Evolve and adapt for the future.
We are the IET.
Together, we are engineering a better world.
So that was a short video about us. You could get in touch with us to understand how you could be part of the IT and explore our membership and volunteering opportunities. If you would like to know more about our past events, you could also visit our website or our YouTube page, where you'll be able to see all our on-demand events there. Okay, now coming to today's topic, which is curated by the Open Digital Innovation Working Group of the IIT's Future Tech Panel. We focus on leveraging India's digital future with the metaverse. And, with so much hype around this buzzword, we thought it's best to look at it with a different lens, with the best set of experts possible, who will tell us why India needs to leverage metaverse beyond games, entertainment, and social interactions. So without any further ado, let me welcome the august panel of speakers for this conversation. So we have a heavy list today, so I'll quickly try to introduce all of them. So introducing our first speaker is Deepak Garg, who is the Dean at School of Computer Science and Engineering at Bennett University, and he's also the Director for NVIDIA Bennett Research Center on Artificial Intelligence. Deepak leads India's largest skilling and research initiatives in AI with 700 institutional collaborators. He is a chief consultant for algorithmic .in and PhD in efficient algorithms. Being the chair at IEEE Computer Society of India, of the IEEE Education Society from 2013 to 2015, he's handled funding of close to INR 700 million. He's also a blogger in the Types of India, which is called Breaking Shackles. Coming to our second speaker is Dinesh Chandrasekhar, a strategy technology leader who believes in enabling human-centric intelligent digital platforms and solutions for his clients. In his current role, he spearheads the business strategy for Tactera Edge in the capacity of Chief Strategy Officer and Vanguard Member of Leadership. On the social front, Dinesh is the author of 2 books, co-producer of a social impact movie, Mitti, on farmer suicides and mentors startups companies in social and the tech space. He is an avid social media influencer supporting farmers, weavers, women empowerment, and instrumental in spearheading several crowdfunding campaigns worth over $2 million in value. Our third speaker is KV Deepu, who is the president at Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company, which is a joint venture of the Bajaj Group and Allianz. He drives digital transformation, innovation, and industry leadership as the head of operations and customer service at the world's number 8 digital insurer. Deepu leverages startups from fintech, insurtech globally while leading a team of more than 600 people in 150 locations. Many of his accomplishments have received industry awards and press coverage. Global 25 CX Leaders of the Year award consecutively for 2 years in 2020 and 2021 was conferred upon him, and he's also featured in the 50 Fabulous Innovative Leaders, etc. Our fourth speaker is Namrata Singh. She heads the Metaverse and Digital for Sony Entertainment Talent Ventures Private Limited, which is a joint venture between Sony Pictures and Sony Movies. She is a digital entrepreneur and angel investor since 2009, a seasoned executive with in-depth understanding of P&L management, digital marketing processes, and proficient with media, entertainment, and brands. She has built IPs and content pilots recently, also has a product or platform building experience in food tech. She is a non-linear thinker with understanding of human psychology to drive achievement-oriented behaviors. Our fifth speaker is Rajesh Duddu, who is the Vice President and Practice Leader of Blockchain at Tech Mahindra. Rajesh was instrumental in establishing blockchain practice at Tech Mahindra that made blockchain real and valuable for several global customers. He is also responsible for making blockchain relevant and valuable for common man in India by spearheading the implementation of solutions to block spam calls and text in partnership with 3 leading telcos and also Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. Lattice 80 has listed Rajesh as one of the top 100 blockchain influencers in the world in recognition of his contributions over the last 5 years, and Thinkers 360 has recognized him in the top 5 global list of blockchain influencers. And finally, coming to our moderator for this session, V. Srinivasa Rao, also known as VSR. He is the chairman and managing director of PT and BT and was the former senior vice president and chief digital officer at Tech Mahindra. VSR was also the past chairman of our Smart Cities Working Group of the IT Future Tech panel and currently heads the Open Digital Innovation Working Group of the same panel. He has worked with global customers in 25 countries, has been featured in the Fortune 500 India magazine 2012 as one of the rubber soles for Satyam Computers' turnaround story. VSR is an executive coach, consultant, and advisor to CXOs and senior executives on business digitalization. He's the author of Lean Digital Thinking, Digitalizing Business in the New World Order, published by Bloomsbury recently. So, with this heavy set of speakers and an august panel indeed, we will request VSR to begin the proceedings today, and I'm sure with all of you, we would have an exciting and interacting session on Metaverse today. Over to you, VSR.
Thank you, Suman. It was a great introduction of all these speakers, and also when I saw the video again, I think it gives me a bit of a goosebumps, maybe for me, if not for others. Engineering a better tomorrow or a better world. I think that's where I think our existence today, after achieving so much of experience in the industry and all. So with that note, I think a lot of change is happening. Even in the video, it is mentioned there is a change in the society, change in the technology. So with that note, if you observe, a lot of people know that Web 1.0 era, we all just saw the static content on the web. There's nothing else you do it. So it's only seeing it and also very low-end content. Then when Web 2.0 came, I think all these social media heroes and heroines came, and we started having the conversations, and a two-way communication is happening. It is more of interactive, but still you are separated. The computer or a mobile device is that side, you are this side, and there is an interaction. Now imagine you can create any of imaginary world of your choice. In fact, I wrote an article. I want to create an imaginary world of Mahabharat, Hastinapur, and where I want to interact with Duryodhan, Sri Krishna, Karna and all those guys with me getting there. And I want to get an experience of Hastinapur and also having conversations with them. It looks a bit of ridiculous, what nonsense VSR you are talking about, but that is possible today with this metaverse. So you can create any imaginative world of your choice. Now I want to be like Amitabh Bachchan, Angry Young Man, or in Andhra we have senior NTR as a hero. I want to do the fighting like them. I can do it in metaverse because I can't do it outside. Not possible. So I think with that note, I would like to request the panelists to share their experiences on this. This is upcoming topic. I'm sure there are so many unknowns. My view is it may take at least 5 years from now to get a complete institutionalization and adding value to the society, and also more and more business opportunities. Of course, some verticals probably they may leverage. So let me start now. I think what is metaverse? I think I want to start that question. Maybe Namrata, I think you have been passionately talking about metaverse. So I want to start with you. So what is this metaverse? Is it going to make our life miserable, or it is going to make our life more pleasant and happiness?
That is the question, right? That is the question. What is metaverse? So everybody has their own answer. I think everybody is just figuring it out. Everybody has read this book called Snow Crash, where the term was first coined. Everybody's seen the movie called Ready Player One. If you want an introduction to metaverse, I think these two things are the start point. But for us, as somebody who comes from media and entertainment, metaverse essentially creates. So instead of being, like you said, outside of the screen, you're now in it. When you're in the screen, what do you do with what is happening within the screen? Metaverse is the ability for you to have a twin life, a twin virtual life, and there's a difference between digital and virtual. Virtual is more embodied, like you can feel all your senses are alive. So you know your five senses, but metaverse allows more senses to be alive, intuition and more. So the whole idea is to have a embodied virtual presence where you can shop, where you can play, where you can work. We truly believe that today, just like you spend 12 hours on Zoom working, tomorrow you'll be spending 12 hours in a virtual environment, working, playing, interacting, etc. And metaverse for us is that playground and the workplace and the interactive entertainment space where we'll interact with, like you said, our heroes that we currently just look at another screen. We'll interact with them one-on-one. We'll be able to touch them, feel them. And storytelling will get immersive, it will get interactive, and a lot more fun. And that's the future we all imagining for ourselves.
I understand. Yeah, that's good. I think you are giving much of an excitement to the audience. Deepak, I want to have 5,000 square feet office of my own with at Manhattan, New York. Okay, in the center of that business. So is it possible with metaverse? How do you define? Can I get there and sit? By sitting at my home, I feel that as if I was sitting there. I mean, what is this metaverse?
Yeah, very rightly said. So basically, I mean, taking further from Namrata, so this is not a linear construct. So this is a spatial construct. So it is a 3D, it is 360-degree, people call it. So definitely what you are saying is that people have already started buying properties on metaverse, and it has even happened in Indian context also recently. So means when I tell some people, means some of them are feeling it is crazy, means what they are doing, they are wasting their money and all that, because people don't understand means what it is. So because for them it is just like a cartoon movie, means where they are doing something. So definitely means the immersive part of this is the major thing that is there. But apart from there, means while other speakers will speak on its benefits, I will also like to bring the challenges that are there in terms of what we call as cyber sickness. Means
Right.
as our students, our means daughters, our children, now they are more immersed into their mobiles, and physical activity less and less. So with this metaverse coming in, that trend will again further accelerate. So we need to also understand the psychological, physiological, and mental issues that are going to come in, which also will then further trickle down to societal changes and cultural changes in the society. So that is also
So I think Deepak, we spend on that particular thing very detailed because it's not only positives we also need to talk about. So how do you summarize in just in 30 seconds metaverse in the layman terms?
So metaverse is like you also said, it is internet 3.0. So where you are part of it as a avatar and you are interacting with. So for example, let us take an application of healthcare. So if you are a doctor and you are doing a surgery in a metaverse, then somebody from US, from Australia, or a team from different countries can work on the same person. So they can see it, they can feel it in 360-degree. So that is just one application. There are hundreds of other
Sure.
applications in different domains.
Okay. So, Dinesh, I'm sure you've been in the tech space for a long time. I'm not sure whether you come from mainframe to miniframe to client server to internet to whatever now metaverse.
You're saying I'm very old, and
No, your mustache is giving that impression. You could have done something for that. So, anyhow, don't worry. So, what is metaverse for the tech service providers perspective? So, we have heard something from entertainment and Sony, Namrata talk about, then Deepak, Nvidia. Now, I think tech service providers perspective, what do you think of metaverse?
it's a very fascinating technology, Lisa. Why I would say that is, see, today, if you take, right, before the term of metaverse and all this, in fact, as Amrita mentioned, in Snow Crash, the book came in 1992, immediately after our liberalization, and this Ready Player movie came on 2011, I believe, right? And this is in the, like, it's been almost like 20 plus years, 2 decades of talking about this. And I want to bring this quote of like, live your life to express, not to impress. Right? Every one of us want to express. And as you said, we are expressing ourselves from the other side of the world, which is in a physical world, right? Where everybody in a physical world is given an opportunity. And then it's, of course, we are streaming it. And as you said, how do you get into a digital world? The word metaverse is beyond universe. That's what it is. And there are two important pillars of this technology which are well established. One is a blockchain. Right, so blockchain is in existence over the last 15 years, right, and very successful in the last 5 years. Rajesh can vouch for it, and he has done a lot of projects. I was also done a lot of projects in Hitachi as well. And then you have this tokens, fungible and non-fungible tokens, which I talk about. The fungible token valuation today is 2 billion, and cryptocurrency valuation is 2 trillion, right? So economy for this is already built. Whereas in for other technologies, right, when the AI came in, a big data came in, they were slowly creating the value as the technology progressed. But the metaverse, the stage is set for it. Why it will be definitely a great success is because it's already an economy which is close to 2.5 trillion. And I expect it to grow to multiple trillions there, and there is a phenomenal opportunity for that.
Okay.
And it's actually a pandemic shift from 2.0 to 3.0. Everybody will have a Web 3.0 asset with them.
So I think from probably 180 to 190 billion dollar IT services revenue. So we might expect a little bit more. Metaverse may add a catalyst to that. So
I think it's an opportunity to become $1 trillion for India, to be very honest.
Right. Okay.
Maybe a decade.
Anyway, we can spend more time on that, but the point here is the metaverse has a lot of scope for Indian IT service providers to grab or take the advantage of a lot of opportunities. So Rajesh, so can you quickly give what is metaverse in your perspective?
Yeah, sure, VSR. Very good inputs by the fellow panel members. In my perspective, the metaverse of the past is different from the metaverse of current. It will be dramatically different from the metaverse of future. Metaverse of the past that many have referred to is more about simulation of extended reality or an augmented reality. It was just limited to simulation. It was meant for entertainment purposes. And beyond entertainment purposes, there was a very limited scope for commerce. Then comes, as Dinesh had mentioned, came the capability of blockchain. And blockchain and metaverse, when they came together, the paradigm of engagement has changed dramatically different. Now you can take virtual assets, for example, you can take in-game assets and you can carve them out and put them in third-party marketplaces for monetization. That capability was completely non-existent before. That's why when you add commerce to content, and then on top of that you add creativity, the way things get positioned are going to be completely different. So it also addresses some of the points that you had mentioned. Earlier, it was only content, maybe a little bit of creativity. Commerce was completely missing in that game. And now commerce has come in, which leads to what I call as meta commerce. And that is going to fuel trillions and trillions of dollars of economy. Now, why earlier this was not capable? Because we know there are many, many barriers for digital assets, right? For example, you would have bought a beautiful painting of Mona Lisa, the digital format, and you put it on your social handles. I just copied it. You spend a lot of money, and then I just stole it from you. There was no technology that was going to differentiate which is an authentic one and which was a plagiarized one or a copied one. So with the underlying blockchain technology, the crypto token, you are able to differentiate that. So that is going to bring in the commerce component, and it is going to open up a Pandora box. Now, why do I say the metaverse of current is different from the metaverse of future? Because at a far end or at the user end, the experience is going to be delivered in a completely different manner from a 5G perspective, which is yet to kick in. And once that kicks in, from an edge compute perspective, the engagement is going to be completely different. Today, you have immersive experiences, but you don't have teleportation at the speed of the thought. And that teleportation at the speed of thought is going to come with 5G. So this is how, I mean, I know I'll just wrap it up. This is how it is going to come together, and it is going to foray into a completely different paradigm. It's very important for people to understand. Otherwise, it will be more like mess of the past in the current.
Good. Okay. Thanks, Rajesh. I think you raised content, creativity, and commerce coming together, and blockchain as a backbone, and 5G. All these things will accelerate the metaverse journey. So, thanks so much, Deepu. Can you highlight how you think metaverse and insurance industry marry together?
Yeah, interesting
What is
question.
metaverse in our context?
Yeah, no, interesting question, VSR, and good afternoon, everyone. Apologies, I got a little late, ran into, Wi-Fi issues, and that's why, it took a few minutes. I think from a metaverse perspective, VSR and, everybody listening, insurance is not immune, to the applicability across the entire spectrum. One is, when you start to create avatars, the whole landscape, of giving, customers, an experience of what can happen in real life, comes to the fore. And let me give, a couple of examples. Let's take, somebody, who wants to, let's say insure a property, right? Now, sometimes, you imagine it, right? Whether it is, the person who has to appraise it or whether, it is the customer. Now, when you get to an immersive experience, right, you are able to, clearly figure out, the nuts and the bolts, and therefore, you're able to come out with a much more, informed, quote or, even an appraisal of the property, so that's one area, where it comes in. The other is, let's take the moment of truth, in insurance, which is claims, right? You buy an insurance policy, so that, the insurance company can come to your aid at the time that you need it most. And that's an area where, when a physical meeting is not possible, by leveraging the metaverse, the person can actually, through an immersive experience, get into the entire angle, be it property, be it in the area of health, be it in the motor, and then, quickly, pass decisions. Because that's an area where typically to control frauds, firms can take time. But if you can leverage the metaverse to, give a decision quickly, it's a win-win for the customer as well as for the firm.
Excellent. So I think it's a wonderful introduction. So let me also, 2 minutes, a lot of people ask me, you are talking about immersive experience. But how do you get there? I think the most important thing is you must have a VR headset. You must have probably a VR suit or haptic gloves. I think there is so much hardware required for the people sitting at home in front of their desk. And then getting into that imaginary world, I think all these infrastructure and setup is required. That's what I was telling. So meta is beyond universe. What is the universe? So beyond our universe, you are creating something imaginative world. Wearing all these things, you are getting into that world and interacting with others in the form of avatars. We might be sitting at home, but avatar is getting into the universe of whatever we call it and all. Good. So maybe in the interest of the time, I request Deepu and Rajesh. because we have very limited time, I want to please explain. Do you think we have global retail brands in India? What is your view? Globally, very renowned retail brands. Any brands available today?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. You're talking about brands leveraging metaverse or the
No, no,
availability?
no, no. In general. So there are so many brands are there from US and other countries, right?
Right.
But do we have any brands from India? Is my view is very less or not there? I'm just trying to give that picture. Okay, if metaverse is there, can I create a virtual retail brands within metaverse and then make it global, generate more and more revenue streams, made in India, metaverse retail brand, and people come and do the commerce there, as you rightly said, with the crypto and NFTs and all. My avatar will get into metaverse. I go to some shopping there, here. It may be here Sony, there something Abercrombie and Fitch, and maybe somewhere something and all. All shops will be there. But is there anything possible today from India leveraging this metaverse? Can I have a global brand better than those brands? What is already there?
If you look at metaverse, according to me, it's a continuum of physical engagements and the digital experience. So how do you create that continuum? And if you're talking about creating a global retail brand based out of India, specifically for metaverse, we need to look at whether there is a physical angle to it also. Then the digital angle. The digital angle is obviously with about virtual clothes, virtual suits, and virtual apparel, virtual couture, and all that stuff, right? And that can be done because ultimately, the way currently what we do is in the current lens, we see it from our lens of the past, and then we apply it to in terms of what are the use cases that are possible.
Okay.
So if you see the way digital natives have behaved is completely different compared to the crypto natives. Now, crypto natives are the guys who are still in their formative years. They're just coming up, right? And in another 5 years, these crypto natives will become the key purchase guys. Their purchasing power will go up. Their earning capacity will go up. At this point of time, they're just consumers, and that consumption is aided by the money which is being provided to them by somebody else.
All
But
right.
they're the native earners. And once the native earning capacity goes up, the engagement of these the crypto natives is going to be a completely different phenomena. I keep telling people coming from the telecom, when I first launched banking on phone, it was an SMS banking on phone. I send a short code to my bank to get the balance, and I felt that I was on top of the world with respect to digital adoption of banking. But look at it, in hindsight, it looks so silly and it looks so naive. But that was the best thing that was available at that
Okay,
point.
Rajesh. Yeah. Thanks,
So
Rajesh.
it varies. It basically varies.
Okay. Sorry, because I have to moderate, so sorry for that. So we have
No
to
worries,
keep
no
it
worries.
shorter. Yeah. So Deepu, so I'm the finance minister of this country, and I come to you and talk to you. Hey, can I increase my GDP with this metaverse and put so many brands within our tourism, entertainment, retail brands within this imaginative worlds? Can I impact the GDP?
Yeah, I think the answer is an unqualified yes, right? It's only about, when the pace of change, is going to yield that, point of inflection. I think clearly, it's yes. I mean, if you look at the whole landscape, VSR, right? I think given, the talent that we have, right? And given the number of, startups, that we basically provide services for globally, clearly we can lead. In fact, there have been some
I think Deepu's internet.
reports, which said that, in fact, I've expressed interest, in the metaverse, and also on NFTs. So, clearly, that's an area which we can leverage. And I was reading a very interesting statistic, which said that this can potentially become an $800 billion opportunity by 2024. So so clearly, you can see the impact on
Right.
GDP.
Excellent. So I think we need to look at different industries and how they can leverage and all. So now I'm coming back to Namrata. I think entertainment is the key for anyone. I mean, I was talking to one of the senior most cop at Karnataka once. I think if the entertainment like IPL matches or movies and other things are not there, the crime rate goes up. Okay. So people have to be engaged. So there is nothing like, so entertainment is mandatory for engaging the people, especially the bad people. Anyway, when I get it, the bad people into metaverse, what will be the implications? We'll talk that later. So, what you think? We have great epics, Mahabharata, Ramayana, and I don't think any script can really map to their level all over the world.
Yes.
So, what do you think? How the entertainment industry will change? Can we have Mahabharata and Ramayana epics in metaverse where I will get into Ayodhya, I will get into Hastinapur, I just move around and enjoy that shopping with NFTs, blockchain, cryptos. I talk to Sri Krishna or I talk to Rama. Okay, that's one. And what else? The games industry is coming in. How the impact will be on movies?
Yes.
Today the movies are produced in different way, but what is that? So can you please give me shorter, because this discussion is just to ignite the spark. So
Yes.
that's where please keep it short.
I'll just keep it. I'll try and give a short this thing of what the metaverse is to the entertainment industry. Just to go back to what you said, actually, the metaverse of the future, like Rajesh also mentioned to some extent, is not going to be built via haptic suits and Oculus and all of that. It's going to be built via mobile. It's going to be mobile first. We're not going to be wearing those suits, no matter how much the big companies want you to. And the metaverse is going to be a collaborative play. It is not going to be a big company play in that sense. And I work for a big company, and I'm saying that. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is when you're looking at the metaverse, you have to look at it in totality. Like Rajesh said, there are multiple elements to this. The elements of this essentially is you start with just entry or engagement, then experiences, and then transactions. If I'm looking at being part of an epic story like Mahabharata or the world called Hastinapur in the metaverse, you start with creating your identity. You start with creating your virtual avatar. You start with saying, okay, what would BSR look like if he decides to have an avatar of his own? Will he be half human, half elephant, half snake, whatever he wants to, whatever his imagination is, right? What would his voice be like? What would his movements be? What will be his color tone? All of those things create an avatar for you, and we give you emotions. We add voice to it. All of those things happen. Then we take you into a world, which is our rendition of the Hastinapur that is written by a great sage. And that world is also interactive with its own characters built into it. You can go into any kutir, you can go into any palace, you can go wherever you want to go. You can experience it firsthand. Somebody else's imagination being played in your reality today in 2022, right? The world itself has an economy design in it, which is where the NFTs, the digital goods, the blockchain, and all of that comes into play. And this is also where the shift happens in terms of how we interact in the real world, right? The kids of tomorrow are mostly not going to have a job. They're not going to be driven by I'm going to be labored by somebody. I'm going to sell my hours to somebody. They will own things. They will come from a perspective of ownership. They will create a part of Hastinapur for you, because their imagination is as powerful as yours. They will own parts of the world that they create for you, and whichever technology, right? Whether it's Roblox, Sandbox, Decentraland, Jugverse, Tardiverse in India, all of those things doesn't matter. This whole thing happens. Economy design is the underlying thing in it. You will be if there's a COVID, if there's a next COVID of the world, the money is going to be happening in the virtual world. The labor is going to be happening in the virtual world. The ownership is going to be happening in the virtual world. So that the young kids of today, they will never be starving. They will never be out of a job. They will not have these insecurities. And a great example of something like this is Axie Infinity, which is a Philippines-based blockchain game, which revived this tiny little country with no blockchain adoption, nothing when they started, with a small game. The kids, it's a play to earn game, and those are the kind of things that a big company cannot think, right? They are not used to these models. That's what we would like to.
Great. You said, all this expensive VR headset, suit, haptic gloves. Somebody is saying the VR shoes and all these things not required. We can do it mobile. But do you think it will happen in the next 5 to 10 years?
It will be mobile first. It'll be mobile first. It will be digital first. It will be Web3 first. It will be Polygon first. So these things.
I think that's must to reach the more audience. Otherwise, I can't purchase all these sets and I can't carry also wherever I want to go. Right?
It's already happening. The other thing just to add, it's already happening. It's not that the change has not happened. It's
right. Good. So it's. I hope, Namrata, you're not talking to Bill Gates. He's already talking about next pandemic is coming. we are not yet ready and all.
Doesn't talk
By
to me.
God's sake, we don't want next pandemic. So we want to live in physical world, but we want to enjoy in virtual world, but we don't want to live in virtual world.
We want to earn in the virtual world. We want to
Earn, yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
We want to own in the virtual economy. We want to be owners. We want to be creators.
Oh, own. Okay. Right. Yeah. So, Dinesh, there is something now everybody is talking about. Yesterday also I had an interesting discussion with one of my ex-colleagues and all. Marketplaces, NFTs, and somebody put it there, you go and purchase in crypto, and there is too much of a hype on this NFTs. Amitabh Bachchan started, Kamal Hassan started. Of course, Kamal Hassan is having Metaverse also integrated so that I can also interact with him with my avatar and all. But I'm specifically talking about the marketplaces of NFTs. Without Metaverse, do you see a life?
Okay.
Because I don't have much of an engagement there. It is more of a trading or purchasing and keeping it. But do you see what is that will evolve? A Metaverse and these NFTs marketplaces, what is the connect you see? And then do you see that without Metaverse, they will survive?
Sure, yes, sir. See, first, the difference between the fungible and the non-fungible tokens. Everybody knows about the fungible tokens. The example of it is Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is interchangeable. It is also divisible. That means you can break a Bitcoin into multiples of denominations, actually. But when it comes to non-fungible tokens, that is NFT, why there's a lot of craze there is, it's only one NFT you can create, right? Say, assume, I just give you an example, your own idol, NTR, right? Assume that there is an NFT that was created by one of his family members by spending that money. So what they do, they take that NFT, create that NFT, they create a blockchain code for that, and they give you a digital signature, and it's given to VSR. It's only for VSR. As long as the VSR want to sell that to another person, right? Nobody can recreate it. Now, what is that? What would it excite it is that it has come from a authentic family, that is the NTR family. It's an heritage, they have given it to you, and they're going to give only one token to you. Either they hold it or they're giving it to VSR for all that consideration they have for you. Now you choose to sell, right? You can sell it for $100, you can sell it for $1 million, you can sell it for $1 billion also, right? Why I'm saying that is, last April, the total market cap of NFT coins was 438 million. Today we are sitting in a 10 billion worth of NFT market coins. All this have been derived of the value that's been stored in the NFT, be it CryptoPunks, Wonderpals, and all this. As of last month, one CryptoPunk was sold for 23 million. Right? Maybe. So what happens there is it derives some amount of individuality, the uniqueness, right? So assume you are buying a Decentraland land. There is a estate which Amitabh Bachchan owns, and VSR buys a land next to Amitabh Bachchan. That is a very unique land parcel which you have purchased with Amitabh Bachchan, and there is somebody else 10 acres of that in Decentraland land, 10 meters away from that or 10 miles away from that. Your land will cost them 5 million, whereas a person who has purchased another land parcel which is 10 miles away would cost them only a 50,000. So it derives this importance because of certain celebrity status. Okay, now all these are happening in Metaverse. I want to give a picture when you ask the question whether NFT can exist with or without Metaverse. Now, if you ask me, NFT is
just a small interruption. A little bit correction here. NFT exists with Metaverse. I am talking about the marketplaces. What are there today outside?
Outside Metaverse. I'm coming to that.
Outside Metaverse. So they are just simply platforms like Amazon. Okay, yes. Amazon, you might be doing something a marketplace, but this is a marketplace for NFTs, and I'm doing it. If I want to sell, I will do the trading and then sell it.
Yes.
But can they exist? Do they have the longer lifespan without Metaverse? Because, like you said, one example, yes, I got that from senior NTR's family, but I also want an experience to interact with senior NTR and talk to him for 5 minutes.
Of course.
With his avatar. Exactly, looks like NTR.
Yes, of course, what happens is NFT can be used as a ticket as well, a golden ticket, only you carry it, right? Now, nevertheless, coming to that outside, right, it's a market. See, if you take out for a minute Metaverse, right, take out the Metaverse, right, NFT has got its own marketplace, okay? Now, how it is going to be relevant here is when Web 3.0 comes, right? Every organization will create the digital assets. When they create a digital asset, it will be a unique form of an asset they want to create. That's where the NFT will evolve. If you take an IoT, right, we created the digital twins, right? The point of digital twins is there is no to say that it's a unique one digital twin is unique and you cannot have another digital twin, right? For example, if you're creating a Boeing engine, it can have as many digital twins. But NFT, what happens is that it can create an individuality of the digital twin and somebody can own it. So I feel that it's an evolutionary stage where we are associating it with a metaverse or a web 3.0. But they eventually, if we talk about all this, right, it's nothing called a decentralized apps. Right, every company is going to have their own decentralized app. They want to break away from Facebooks and Googles of the world, and they want to create their own web ecosystem. Their NFT is going to play a great role, and it need or need not be tagged along with the metaverse.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So till now, I think we talk about theoretically what is metaverse. So beyond the universe, you can create imaginative world. Of course, I told there might be some initiatives, mobile first and web first. As of today, I think extensively we might need VR headset and VR suit and whatever the haptic gloves and all to feel as if I am getting into that imaginative world. Like Namrata said and Rajesh said, we don't want all those headache and we want to just have the mobile phone and web and get that experience. That's fantastic. Now, let us talk about the practical implementations of these two, this metaverse. So one, I think Deepak and team have been working on Omniverse, their brand name in the NVIDIA. So I would like to request him, what is this? I mean, Omniverse and how it is adding millions of users to that. So you said that metaverse for engineers. Why I'm very much interested is, after all, today I'm representing Institution of Engineering and Technologies. Our dream is to generate millions of qualified and competent engineers from India.
Yeah.
What is Omniverse?
So VSR. So Omniverse is a kind of a revolution by NVIDIA. So recently in the last GTC, you may have seen NVIDIA CEO transporting himself to Omniverse and doing various things. So how we differentiate it from other tools and technologies available is that the characteristics are basically that it run on any device remotely. So you can teleport, that means not you, means your avatar can teleport into the Omniverse, and you can use various tools and technologies. So it has transformed some of the paradigms around the metaverse and the gaming world specifically. And basically built for the collaboration purpose, like you said, for engineers. So you get real-time photorealistic simulation, and there has been a tremendous increase in the productivity of the creators because of the Omniverse. So, and the content creators also have gained a lot of confidence because now different tools can talk to each other because of the Omniverse potential. So means for the applications or Omniverse are being used in robotics, in special effects for entertainment industry, in high performance computing visualization, and drive simulation architecture. And you can also see it in film and TV, game development, synthetic data generation, etc. So basically,
if you, yeah, please go ahead.
So means basically there are 5 key elements to Omniverse. The major one is the connect, which somebody also calls collaborate. So which is like the whole architecture helps to plug in. So maybe some of means people who are senior, they may have worked on Eclipse, which used to give so many of plugins. So this is like in metaverse perspective, this gives the plugins and like the platforms like Unity, Real, Unreal, Photoshop, Maya, 3ds Max, Substance, Grasshopper, Rhino, Houdini, right, Solidity. So now they can all talk to each other. Means everyone cannot understand all of these. So otherwise it will be very difficult. And the next.
Deepak, can you take a situation? For example, I am the guy. You are a specialist in, let us say, a washing machine design. So a digital twin of that is there in the metaverse, and the hologram of VSR will come to your space. We both are there. We both are getting into metaverse. You are there, I am there, your avatar and my probably hologram. And we both are discussing and then rotating that washing machine and seeing it and all. Is it possible in Omniverse?
Yeah, definitely. That like we talked about previously about that you can do a surgery in Omniverse. So similarly,
Correct.
you can repair a car like a car mechanic. Means now there are similarly a washing machine. So there are hundreds of different types of washing machine. You will not know means how it opens up if there is a problem,
Permutations.
how to correct, or
Right.
even how to operate. So there are so many
Right.
mechanisms, and many times it is not easy to give a tutorial online just by writing some text. So you can really go in and see what is happening. And
I think
one
the
of
design is going to change probably in terms of permutations, combinations. Virtually, the people can, as you rightly said, collaboratively they come onto the metaverse.
Yeah.
They can have the 3D replica in the form of whatever digital twin in the metaverse. They can see change and all. And the training, as you rightly said, is another important aspect. Sometimes you can't do training. Even medical guys, they can't do training probably on the heart. They can do it probably in the metaverse and all. So you do you see using metaverse we can probably produce high quality engineers?
Yes, means the people are finding applications in terms of learning and education. So if we connect it to one of the means incident that happened with the Boeing Max, so because they did not given any training to the pilots for the new system that they installed on Boeing. So if there was a metaverse and they could have means done a training in simulation, that could have costed very less instead of physical training. So maybe then the incidents that happened around Boeing Max could have been avoided.
Great, excellent. So I think we probably might have a very specific discussion on Omniverse. So I have seen a news item, Rajesh, okay, from Tech Mahindra. So I'm curious to know you started Techemverse, which is a practical implementation of Metaverse. You want to use it for, I think, dealers, for our customers, and you want to use different technologies like AI. And somewhere it is also mentioned quantum computing probably could be one component of the Metaverse. So can you please share what is this Techemverse very briefly, and what is the value add it give to the key stakeholders with its features?
Sure, Srini. So Techemverse is basically the show and tell from Tech Mahindra from Techemverse adoption for the business applications. So we had come up with a few business applications. For example, a car dealership on Metaverse, where there have been some incidents in the past where customers have not treated well at the showroom. That comes because the appearance of the customers may lead to wrong interpretations and the wrong conclusions. So we don't want to give that kind of an experience to all the customers. Dealerverse is a capability where customers can go engage themselves so that we can collect a lot of information about them and assess their interest levels, whether they're generally exploring or they are serious buyers. And once basis their engagement using the immersive channels, we can generate them as hot leads and give it to a nearby dealership. What it is going to do is, as I said before, it is going to give you a continuum of engagement in the digital as well as the physical channels. And it also leads to we feel that it is also leads to environmental contributions as well. The number of visits that are required to showroom can be cut down, as a result of which it contributes to the carbon footprint. Likewise, we have also developed use cases pertaining to the banking transactions. Woori Bank became the first bank from South Korea to get onto Metaverse. JPMC recently announced their branches in a place called Onyx in Decentraland. So we see even the traditional people from the banking sector are now exploring this, which will give a further acceleration to what we call as the API banking or an open banking. Now, Techemverse is ability to show these as possibility to the customers. Some of these you cannot show it as a white paper or on a PowerPoint slide. It doesn't make any sense. And that's
So
the
do you
reason
see going forward, sorry to interrupt, going forward, usually customers come with their requirements.
Right.
The tech services companies will give the proposals.
Right.
And they also build some proof of concepts, of course, the traditional way.
Right.
But do you see now they might ask, show me the metaverse. I want to see the future. I just don't want to listen. It will come. It will be like this. It's not like that. You show me how the future will be. after a solution is delivered, can you simulate and show it to me in Metaverse?
Yeah, absolutely. The three vectors are still important for metaverse, as is the case with any technology. Is it going to deliver a differentiated experience? If so, how? Is it going to reduce the total cost of ownership? Is it going to trigger new revenue streams? For example, in the dealerverse, the one of the options that you could assess whether people are serious or not, when they're exploring a particular car, you can push NFTs of that car. And if they end up buying those NFTs, it tells me that their involvement is pretty high, and they could be a logical extension for buying the cars in the physical realm. So some of those interesting combinations and permutations can be accomplished.
Excellent. So I think I also foresee maybe so we all come from same industries. So during customer visits, I think probably visits can be reduced, and we used to set up so many customer experience centers, right?
Correct.
So why we need customer experience centers with too much of infrastructure and all? Hey, you sit in San Francisco, I sit in Hyderabad.
Right.
Just let us both get into Metaverse, and I will show you what my capabilities, credentials, and all, and you tell me your requirement.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of changes we can expect. I think okay, that's good. Now, in the interest of the time, you have 5 people each, probably 45 seconds to 1 minute. Social media created exceptional opportunities. That is Web 2.0, where people started interacting with web. Web 1.0, there was no interaction; it is only seeing. Now we are saying you can immerse into the imaginator world and all. Now in the social media world, when you sit at the lunch or a dinner with the family, everybody has their mobile phones and sitting. That's where the problem. Everybody is saying today, without mobile phone, even a 3-month kid is also probably grabbing the mobile phone after getting habituated. Now imagine, I was telling yesterday to one of my colleagues again, okay, Namrata, keep it aside, mobile first and web first, a little bit later stage. Today there is a VR headset and everybody is doing like this at home. How it looks like? You tell me, if all 6 people, wearing VR headset, everybody is doing like as if in the immersive world, what they do, we don't know. But outside it looks like they're pressing a button like this, and this. Oh, I mean, I'm thinking, so what is the impact of this metaverse on society, human relations, and marriages? I mean, the social fabric and culture. So I request everyone to spare probably 45 seconds to just to tell your thoughts on what is the metaverse implications on the society, culture, and then the whole heritage.
Okay. Go back to gaming. Okay, go back to gaming. Remember PlayStation? Remember this thing called, we had those Wii's and whatever, where you could actually play badminton with each other. So what has happened is, see, every technological shift, so Web 2 to Web 3, whether it was Instagram, so for example, Instagram to Sandbox or Instagram to Roblox, if that is the way I have to look at it. All that has shifted is my playthings have shifted, my playground has shifted. Instead of going out, I sit at home on Instagram, or I go inside a Roblox and have coffee with my friend, or I'll throw a birthday party there. Social interactions stay social. The screen and the environment changes. So while we are talking a lot about the health part of it, health is still a very physical. We still have to eat. We still have to exercise. We still have to do. Still have to hug a person. We still have to do all of that, right? So that doesn't change. But instead of spending 8 hours on Instagram, I will spend 1 hour. And instead of spending 2 hours on TV, I will spend 5 minutes. Instead of spending 4 hours on gaming, I will spend half an hour. Your time that you spend on a screen stays more or less the same, but it becomes more immersive. It becomes more purpose driven. So you'll be in it for a very specific purpose. So I'll be in it because I'm shopping, or I want to go for a coffee with a friend who's sitting in New York, or I want to have an interaction with I want to speak to the avatar of Amitabh Bachchan, or I want to go and be part of his museum, etc. I will choose my entertainment. I will choose my interaction. The screen time more or less remains the same. Whatever you do in physical life remains the same. Social fabric is built on awareness. So anything done in access, whether it is real life or virtual, is not good for you. If you don't take care of health in real life and you blame it on gaming, that's not right. I mean, you still have to take one and go in the gym and exercise. So that's besides the point. And you will have a lot of applications in the metaverse, which are going to be fitness driven, which are going to be wellness driven. There's going to be a lot of mental health progression that I see because metaverse is driven by young people, and the diabetes of this generation is mental health. So they will create stuff so that they are taken care of, right? I actually believe that the physical ties might get deeper because they get the downtime they need to do and be and express and be who they are.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my take on it. Yeah.
So, Namrata, in a lighter way, I will tell you, there is probably, let us say, a rowdy shooter is there, I'll go and beat him. And after that, I have to put some security guards surrounding my home. And then 5-10 people, I have to safeguard myself when this guy will come and hit me. So, I mean, in a lighter way, 50, 60 years back, everything, motor skills were natural. Okay, our motor skills are gone. Even I got frozen shoulder because of this virtual world. Okay, so those days were natural days, and then everything was done naturally with our body, right? Today, we have to create a virtual world to repair our body. So anyhow, so we have to evolve, and there is no choice for that. So we have to, anyhow. In a lighter way, I was telling, don't take it serious. Yeah. Okay, Deepak, Dinesh, Rajesh, Deepu, very quickly. So how it will impact our culture, our social fabric of India?
Yeah.
Metaverse.
So you said 45 seconds of VSR, so I'll stick to that. I think, one is, when you have, people donning avatars, right? And it could be somebody else, right? So you might have, malicious actors or even bots coming into pictures. Therefore, I think, identity authentication and privacy control, I think that becomes one angle. The second is the point that, both of you discussed, right? If you have people, who are plugged into the virtual world all the time, then how do they face the real world, right? I was reminded of, how they said Siddhartha could become, Gautam Buddha, or an emperor, right? So I think that's one. The second is, since this world is very immersive, right? Even if it is, about, conflicts that people have, right? It could become much more, threatening. So therefore, cyberbullying can come into place. And the last, I think, content moderation can become very difficult.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Deepak?
Yeah, so I think just kind of very existence of us means when we think that we are spiritually active, and now we say it is one is that we are in the physical world, and then one we are in the virtual world. So for some people, it will be different to distinguish that what I am. So means if he keeps on immersing himself in different avatars, keep on doing something. So what Deepu is also saying, that whether we forget what we are actually and what we are supposed to do. So it is very deeper, means it has a lot of connotations on culture and philosophy and overall our
identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very deeper discussion required there. Yes, I agree. Yeah. Rajesh and Dinesh.
So from a sustainability point of view, VSR, I think it is really a blessing, to be very honest, right? So global warming and all this, right? A lot of things can be controlled. And you see, as you mentioned about the travel, right? A lot of travels can be cut down. But what happens is the economy move from one mode to another mode. So you need to create when you start spending on creating that experience, okay? So definitely it's going to help the world. And Facebook changing the name to Meta very clearly takes that he wants to take all the people who are in Facebook to Meta. So I think the millennials, we cannot stop them, right? Definitely they will be getting into that. In fact, people use Discord today. They don't even come for all the people in Metaverse. The Discord is the social media for them. Nobody uses this. And Brave is a browser today, right? Nobody uses Google, right? Privacy. So some of these things the millennials are setting a good precedence to us, right? In terms of following them. Certain things we should follow them. And certain thing, I don't think so we could control them, but try to create a very optimistic environment. Like a Microsoft, right? They're taking it and creating a digital workplace. So it is in the community of the hands of the leaders as well as some business group, how responsible they're going to create a metaverse environment, both in terms of social and business places.
I think that's great. The responsibility is very, very important word there. Yeah, thank you. Rajesh, can we quickly conclude what you think the culture, traditions, customs, social
there are always two sides. There are always two sides to the coin, right? The positive as well as the negative. The positive aspects, as everybody has said, it is going to deliver a lot of benefits. either on the social side or reduction of the carbon footprint, cutting down the travel and various other things. From an addiction side, obviously people may tend to be more inward in terms of, already we have seen this. When you are on a chat mode, you tend to be more chatty, you tend to be more communicative. But when you meet people in person, the degree of communication has gone down in these days compared to the digital channels and compared to the physical channels. So we don't want to a situation where people are sitting opposite each other and say, hey, let's talk in metaverse because it's more exciting, rather than a one-to-one communication. So those are the things that we need to be very, very careful about. But the good thing is it is going to reduce the digital divide between the countries. The earlier, when there was much of a digital divide between the countries, that digital divide is going to go down. There are many African countries who have already established very good assets in metaverse, and if that becomes an equilibrium of balance in the future, then the digital divide will go down. So there are always pluses and minuses. It depends upon how you want to architect it.
I think you said right. Pluses and minuses are there for every evolution, whether it's the first industrial revolution, second, third, we are in the fourth. Maybe by 2050, we'll get into fifth. Always there is a positive and negative. So, like Dinesh mentioned, there is a responsible leaders, responsible citizens, responsible business leaders to ensure that the positives are extracted more. So, the negatives are basically probably get it down. So some of the negative sides also we all needs to be aware. One, I think in India now, as per some statistics, the youth are seeing 80% youth are seeing the adult content. So what is the impact of the metaverse? Whether they'll get distracted further? And the games today, when you get into this PUBG and frontline type of games where people are now experiencing, not only that, tomorrow you might get more and more games, maybe dark side games also, where people get into metaverse and the behavior may change, the mental behaviors, because they are 24/7. They are into killing some avatars and then the sex, assaults, violence, and everything. Imagine the way the brains get impacted. It is immersive experience. It's not just interaction. I think the governments also needs to look at what sort of things can be allowed, what sort of things not allowed. I don't say that regulation is required, and education, like Namrata also mentioned, what is required is from since childhood. Surprisingly, yesterday, fifth class students, one of my daughter's classmates and all, they were doing a sort of bullying the teacher. Can you imagine? In the chart, they are ridiculing teacher, they are insulting teacher, fifth standard. So I think I think we need to be responsible as an engineers and then the creators of the content or immersive experiences. And we also need to ensure that using metaverse, what is the strong aspects? I'm not saying that our culture, traditions, or everything is strong, everything is good. There were some bad also, they are removed. The good practices also needs to be part of the metaverse so that there is a positivity and shock absorbers and opposite positive forces will work. All right, thank you. So next, let us get into Namrata again. I'll come back to you now. So when we do shopping in metaverse, like Dinesh mentioned, NFTs, cryptocurrencies, and Samsung opened their shop. JP Morgan Chase opened their customer experience center in metaverse. Nothing they do. My avatar will get into metaverse and I go and their beautiful lady will be there. She will say, hey, Mr. VSR, how are you? What are you doing? I talk and I get whatever the information. So instead of help desk, now I'm getting into metaverse and getting my customer information and all. So with all these things, then you also, yesterday we were talking, you remember Facebook, one of the lady got a very bad experience of harassment in the Facebook and all. So what that we have to do to ensure safety, privacy, security, and all those things in metaverse?
That's a very big question, but I will try and answer it in small parts. The metaverse kind of, the Facebook kind of experiences that happen, it's a coding issue. It's the way it's been coded. Somebody has not created boundaries between avatars, like physical distancing, right? It's not there, and I think they've fixed it. So that those kind of incidents ideally should not be happening. That's just a coding issue. But metaverse primarily 90% is a no code, no game universe. It is not fully, while engineering is very, very critical to the whole thing in terms of the design element of it. A lot of it is being built by kids who are 9-year-old plus. Let's also understand that part of the metaverse. So if kids are building a world of their own and game designers are building a world, part of that world, and then there are mature people coming in or mature parties coming in, like all of us right now, trying to build something on top of it, which is more enterprise, more out there, more mass. There are three different sensibilities coming into and building a world for the future. What is needed here is I don't think this censorship can happen at a platform level. It has to be individualistic. It has to have rules built into the play itself. For example, in VR, they say that you should not be using colors like black and red, because if there's too much usage of black and red, you feel depressed. So when you're creating VR experiences, you should not be using these colors. That's a diktat of VR industry having learned what they've learned. I, as a creator, may or may not use it. I know this, but I may or may not use this, right? Similarly, I know that avatars should have physical distancing of some sort. They should not be able to get into each other's space, etc. Whether I coded it or not, or was I in a hurry to launch a world, that's a completely different question altogether. The third thing about can you stop human behavior on both sides, extreme sides, you cannot. Kids will come from where they are. So if a Roblox is being built by a 9-year-old, a 9-year-old sensibility says, I want to beat up my friend, and that's fun, right? And that's and those kind of moderations will come from parents, they'll come from teachers, they'll come from mentors. Platforms will do what they can, but we will still have crypto hacks, we'll still have wallet hacks. It is the nature of the beast. As it evolves, it will become better. It will no longer be driven by kids. It will no longer be driven. I mean, while they are very critical in the build in terms of sensibility, but hopefully we'll have a more inside-out approach. So the movie, have you seen this movie called Inside Out, the cartoon movie, the animation movie by Pixar, where all emotions matter? And while you have a good side, you also have a bad side. So my job is to basically appeal to your good side. Right, all emotions are important, but let's play with the good ones and let's not just build PUBGs and the war games. Let's also build the games of happiness over time.
Right.
Absolutely. So the Khushiyo wala metaverse is hopefully what we will end up building. But that's the attempt. But there are lots of clinks here. It's an early system.
Right.
And enterprise is entering, but enterprise is the last entrant. It's not the first entrant.
Right.
They're seeing it now.
I think that's wonderful. So I think anyhow, so like Rajesh mentioned, the blockchain is one important aspect compared to the current security solution. Certainly, blockchain should enable whatever the encryptions and then private public keys. I think that is the reason we have to ensure that. Of course, we have to take care of that also. The second, as you rightly said, the metaverse probably need a lot of moderators and the people interventions. If anybody is doing bad, they should be thrown out, and some sort of a regulation and policies.
In terms of community, right? I mean, just one last very important part of the metaverse is this whole concept of DAO, okay, which is decentralized autonomous organization. The DeFi protocol, the DAO protocol, the community will actually drive a lot of decision making. It will not be the enterprise system of one man decides everything, which is what Meta seems to be at the moment. So my hope, I actually have a lot of hope from DAOs of the future. In terms of how they will regulate themselves to make sure that the best foot forward comes there. But yeah, the community will drive a lot of this decision that you're speaking about right now. And you and I, no matter how much we want to control it, may not be in a position to do so. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe.
Okay. So I want last question, all of you, and we'll get into Q&A because there is so much of conversation happening in the chat also. So one is Namrata and Rajesh, you are saying that the mobile first and web first, all these things are happening, and VR headset, VR suit and all. So what is the timeline you look at where it will reach the common people at an affordable price, this metaverse? And that is the first question for all of you. And second one, which industries you think in the next 12 to 18 months, okay, what industries can really focus on this? I think these two questions, if we complete, then we'll get into the Q&A. Anybody can start.
Yeah, so I think one of the most important industry that would be a learning industry, right? And especially the kind of what we have seen in pandemic. And more importantly, the kind of a digital divide we have, right? If you could get a kind of an environment, a metaverse platform for the people to get the education. So education is going to be number one. Second, as Deepak was mentioning about the simulation part of it, training part of it, like a Boeing 747, one of the levers, it was not trained, and we lost two airlines, which has costed 500 people, right? So the simulation and training is very important. It could cut a lot of cost and it could train a lot of people, especially a country like India. We have an opportunity to educate over a couple of millions if you get them onto a metaverse, right? And schools can be a metaverse schools, right? It's a where you can create you can take like for example, in a 1,200 square feet, you can educate 2,000 people when you have a digital, right? But as you rightly said, today the handsets and all this, right? There are two types of looking at. I can have an hologram. I don't need people to wear that headset to see me, but I create a facility where I myself can be an hologram, and an MIT and a Stanford can teach us in Kukatpalli, in Hyderabad, one of the common schools, right? So I see that is the one. Second is a healthcare can be democratized. Especially when the surgeries are happening, we can have an hologram where the best of the experts could be flown from virtually from a best of the institutes in the world, Hopkins, for example, right? And your mom is, not your mom, someone's mom is actually undergoing a brain surgery, which is a very complicated, or a 99% of a failure or 1% of success, where we want the best of the brains to be on the brain surgery, right? So I think healthcare and education are two things which could make a drastic difference, both in terms of a demographic as well as in terms of economy.
Good.
Can I add to
Excellent.
that,
Any other
Dinesh?
points
Can I
from
add to that,
anybody?
Dinesh? Sorry, VSR?
Yes, please.
Yeah, please.
So, if you look at, the areas, where metaverse can come in, I think to build on what Dinesh said, precisely those areas, where you need curated experiences, right? For example, you take real estate, where you need to basically go and see a sample flat. Let's say it's not possible in the physical world, right? That's exactly where metaverse then comes in, anything that lends itself to 3D. Coming to our industry, VSR, brand servicing, right? I mean, clearly, you could have a hologram, which, or, an avatar, which can really service customers. You look at hiring as well, right? They need not travel physically, right? We already have, robotic hiring, but that can be made more human and more, humanoid or human-like, right? Whatever term you want to use, right? By using this. So I think these are areas, clearly, where, the metaverse can come in.
So I think immersive tour of the prospective employee into the company, and they feel it, and this whatever the company infrastructure facilities, all those things. I think sitting in Delhi, they can see in Hyderabad company, they can get in there, they can talk to the CEO of the company, whatever. I mean, a lot of things can be done. I think a lot of things can change. I agree. Yeah. Any other points, Rajesh and
I
Deepak?
actually believe that the biggest shift that you will see will be in how we interact with money. I think the first adoption will happen with fintech. And entertainment is by default, because right now metaverse is a ghost town. Ghost town needs heroes and entertainment, like you said in the past, so that we have less crime or whatever, or we're engaged mentally. So entertainment is by the way, but what is very critical is fintech, because what it will shift is how we look at money and ownership and creation and job works. And once money shifts and it becomes a non-enterprise game, everything that you do in your life changes, because you will not have a traditional job, you will not have a traditional healthcare, you will not have a traditional insurance plan, you will not have traditional bank accounts, you will have wallets. You will have,
Right.
right? You will not have
Everything,
traditional
yeah.
houses. You will have virtual houses, which can be leased out to BCG tomorrow as an office space, etc. So that I think will be a very, very big shift. We'll change how we look at money completely using metaverse,
Right.
and then everything else evolves around that.
Perfect. Yeah. Deepak and Rajesh, very quickly, what industries you see more opportunities of metaverse?
Yeah, in terms of the adoption is going to be in tourism, adoption is going to be in retail, adoption is going to be in banking, automobile, as I had mentioned to you before. It's all about redefining the customer experiences, and whoever wants to take a pole position, regardless of the industry. For example, on this panel, we have Deepu from insurance. We wouldn't have imagined that insurance will be looking at adopting metaverse, right? It's all opportunistic in nature, and also what they would like to accomplish.
Correct.
And some of the negative aspects that you are referring to will be there in the formative years, because whenever a new digital channel evolves, there is no code of practice before. And the code of practice comes over a period of time with a collective conscience, and also
Yes.
in terms of the do's or nots. whether it comes through a physical body or a decentralized autonomous organization. That's a question, but it has to come, and it will come over a period of time.
Okay.
And I'm sure for Metaverse also, this code of practice will evolve sooner
That's
than
very important. Yeah, code of practice is. Deepak, any
Yeah.
comments?
So I think means ultimately it will get into where the money is. So one of the top thing that is coming up is business continuity. So many companies are trying to spend money on metaverse for maintenance purposes, means where they can have people maintaining their offshore things, whether it is energy or gas, from distant places, because there are very few people available with specific skills on advanced
Okay.
technologies, on complex machines. So it will be critical to leverage such people through the use of metaverse, and which will also mean business. So,
Great.
and another second one will be the healthcare, because if you see now in AI also, the most of the funding is happening in healthcare startups, and that is a means area which still has a large legroom to grow.
Okay.
So it is still in shambles, means overall, all over the world, if you see. So
Understood.
that is where people are trying to see that the skills of the doctors and the surgeons and other people can be used elsewhere also, not only from the place where they are currently.
Correct. Excellent. I think, yeah, I think we need to look at this into two aspects. One is consumers and society. The other is the industry where we represent most of the time. Right. So, and Namrata, I want to give you one idea. When I was talking to one of the top three scientists of DRDO in 2009 around, he said, why you guys are so much fascinated about Batman, Superman, Spider-Man? In India, there is a big man called Hanuman. Okay, I think you produce in Metaverse where Hanuman will make sure there these Batman, Superman, and all like Lilliputs, and Hanuman is the hero. Okay.
Can we take it to Sony PlayStation as an idea, please?
No,
Copyright.
this is a valid. See how the culture is built. If our youngsters knows that Hanuman is the more powerful person than a Spider-Man or a Batman or a Superman, automatically that's where our culture also knows that there is somebody called Hanuman, right? So I think
Done,
we
sir.
have to.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna steal your idea. Take it to Sony PlayStation.
yeah, please. Thank
So
you. So
we
we'll
said
open.
in terms of, I was just going through the comments on the chat screen, and a lot of comments seem to indicate that metaverse is a substitution for real life. Sorry, metaverse is not a substitution for real life. It's an augmentation of the existing life into a digital channel rather than a substitution of real life. If you're going down that particular path, you're going down a sinkhole. Please
Yeah.
correct yourself.
Okay, so I think it's the time for Q&A. So we have, so let us let Suman. I request you to moderate. So I'm sure so many questions will be there. Whatever possible, we'll try to address. Suman, over to you.
Yes, yes, yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Uh, just to continue on that, yes, sir, before we start the question and answer, you forgot Shaktiman.
Oh, yes. That is
But
going in the metaverse. I
Shaktiman is
also
less. Hanuman
it's
is
going in
powerful
the
than
metaverse.
Shaktiman.
Of course, of course. So I keep on saying this in our daily conversations that sometimes the sessions and the discussions are so interesting that you just don't want to break the tempo. You just wish that it go on. But given the nature of the platform, the way we consume content, I think there is a limit to what people can consume digitally. So coming to the questions, I think there are a lot of things that people have said on the chat, like some of the things that Rajesh said is right, but some of them have even been kind enough to post on the questions part. I will briefly show the questions on the stage also so that all of you can see. And starting with the first one, which comes from Rajat Chandra, he's saying, what do you think is the scope of metaverse as mixed reality when being experienced through devices like Microsoft HoloLens or Sony's Link Buds?
Yeah. Namrata or
This
Deepak?
is my colleague, so I think somebody else should answer.
Yeah, I can take that up. We
Yes,
already
please.
deliberated on that quite a bit, right? In terms of there are two components, whether it is virtual reality or augmented reality. Virtual reality will need all these device interfaces, whether it is lens or device or whatever it is. But augmented reality does not read anything because it's a rendition of the content in a three-dimensional attribute. When this three-dimensional attribute, you don't need any devices. An immersive experience doesn't mean that you have to put a gear and then fool yourself that you're in a different world altogether, right? Immersive, that's not immersive experience. Immersive experience is more from an involvement and an engagement perspective. A good example is I give you a physical user manual, which is a written user manual. Your immersive experience is very limited. On the other hand, I give you audio visual kind of a user manual and then say, evaluate the impact of do it yourself. The impact of do it yourself is much, much higher in an audio visual kind of an interface rather than a written kind of an interface. That is the immersive experience we are talking about, not like, putting an artificial lens and then say
True.
that you're in a completely different plane. So from that particular perspective, the dependency on devices is not necessary.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajesh, for that. Uh, the next question comes from Rimesh Patel. He asks us, does the panel see new patent opportunities for the metaverse, or will platforms simply comply features as most are doing now already? So this
Absolutely.
is his question.
Yeah. Absolutely. Patents, I think patent applications have already gone up, which you can see because lots of brands are actually applying for the metaverse play. So whether it's a McDonald's, which is actually, why would a food company go into the metaverse? But they are. Or brands actually are leading this whole patent evolution in the metaverse space, and of course the tech players. So yeah, absolutely. This is the next generation innovation play.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Jumping on to the next one from Nimit Jain. He says, if the metaverse makes us value and believe more in the virtual and digital world than the physical world, will it move us to care less about the environment?
But it doesn't.
I mean,
Yeah.
like Dinesh said, it will really enhance the environment and sustainability because a lot of carbon emissions, what we do with these travels, vehicles, airplanes. So a lot of things
Yeah.
you basically getting reduced. So I think even designs, when you do it in the metaverse, you can also nowadays it will become a norm to simulate our sustainability index during design itself. So that you can
True.
do in metaverse and see that the products design, whatever you are doing, I think what is the impact on the environment and biodiversity. Then in the design you factor that. I think all those things possible today in the metaverse with the you call it the digital twin or whatever, right? I think Deepak also might add some
Yeah,
points there.
I think there is another side of the story also. Means like in AI also we said that there are so many simulations and applications which help us to analyze climate change. But we are using so many GPUs and so large data centers to handle all these calculations. So
Hmm.
similarly, when we are looking at the growth of users in metaverse, and again creating millions and billions of assets, so we are going to increase our computing requirements and the cloud requirements. So that will
That
further
implies you are consuming more electricity and emitting more temperature to the
yeah.
Yeah.
environment. And yeah, I think we have to look at negative implications today. I always say first industrial revolution, second and third industrial revolutions created exceptional value to humanity. But at the same time, today the planet got really destroyed in many ways. The three industrial revolutions created exceptional value at the same time created. Now in the fourth industrial revolution, what this metaverse we are talking, necessary precautions to be taken by visualizing the future, like Deepak you said, what will be the electricity consumption, what will be the GPUs, cloud computing consumption, and with that, what is the air cooling consumption, and all those things I think needs to be factored next 50 years, and the designs and implementations needs to take care of that.
True. True. Um, the next question comes again from Rajat Chandra, who says, given the power of NFTs to reliably prove ownerships, do we require real world IV protection and registration for assets owned in the metaverse, such as copyright, trademark, etc.?
Yeah, see, for NFTs, normally when you take an NFT ownership, right, it all inclusive, right? Your the NFT ownership gives you a copyright, it gives you a digital signature, it gives you a blockchain code, right? One interesting part of which I just want to talk about an artwork, right? So initially, what happens there? I mean, currently, what happens today is when somebody is selling an artwork. Now, in NFT, it gives also an opportunity. The author of the NFT can still hold the royalty, and every time it is being resold, the author gets a royalty fee,
Okay.
which you cannot write it in a current state of a legal thing, right? Once it's been sold, even if you are the artist, once you have sold your heart, it is no more your property. But NFT, it also gives you an opportunity that every time it's getting resold, right, the author gets an opportunity. So the blockchain code which you write, right, it gives you a flexibility. At the same time, it is very, very difficult to, or it cannot, humanly impossible to tamper NFT. Okay, so when you buy an NFT, a lot of these things have been taken care, and it is, as I said, it's no centralized organization which is governing it. It's a decentralized, and it's a voting happens through a consent. Nobody can change the blockchain code, right? So it's a consent. Through consent only, a lot of things will change, or through minting of uh, creating an NFT. Okay, I think it
So
comes
Dinesh,
as part of the. Yes,
Dinesh, I
Rajesh.
think the question was more from a perspective of if you have a digital asset, do you need to augment the ownership of that with an IP in the physical world?
It is. It
Today,
is. Okay. Sorry.
so
Maybe. Okay.
yeah,
That in
in
that
today's
case is, of
context,
course, we can register as an NFT, your digital asset.
yeah, in today's context, the best practice is the court of, I mean, the judiciary as well as the court of law do not still accept these digital contracts and the smart contracts. So if it's an NFT that you are engaged in, which is a high value NFT and not a small transactional value, the best practice is to back it up with a piece of documentation which is registered in a court. That is the best practice that is being advised at this point of time. Uh, and once the ownership, the digital ownership and the rights pertaining to that evolve in a uniform fashion across the web, then you don't have to back it up with a physical safety.
Right.
Thanks, Rajesh. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with that we have covered almost all the questions. Some of them we have already answered, like what kind of devices would we need to experience metaverse in the future. So you said it's going to be mobile first. I think with that we have covered the questions, and I think some of them have been answered in the chat also. It's been a very informative session. I would pass it over to you to summarize
Yeah.
this overall and close it.
I think one question I have seen here, what do you think about health issues that might raise with
Yeah.
the adoption of meta? Maybe 1 minute I would like to highlight. So like Namrata said, the screen time goes up. Even today, the screen time has gone up. And now with the, you are moving your eye from one screen to another screen and all. So we have to really look at our eyes are not designed really for this sort of the world. So we have to look at maybe new spectacles to be designed. I mean, general, I'm talking about. That's one. Second, if you look at most of the Western countries, whatever the reason it is, when the comfort is going up, the depression level is going up. If you observe, almost 60 to 70% using chemicals, the other part of the world for the depression. Okay, because the physical experiences are going down and physical interactions. In India, also, if you look at combined families become something like nucleus families. Nucleus families becomes like single parent. Single parent has become probably living together. And tomorrow, I'm worried the robo and human being will live together. Okay, so this is what the world going in. Certainly, the doctors and these clinical scientists have to look at with these new technological evolutions, like what is the importance we are giving to the sustainability and biodiversity. We have to give equal importance to the human brain and body. What precautions to be taken when designing? Because some of the biggies, they are worthless, useless, and valueless. They are leveraged and screwed up the complete social media. I don't want to name them. So we need more ethical and principled and valued people building this metaverse, considering the health and sustainability as a very important factors. Thank you so much, friends. And this is a wonderful discussion. We covered what is metaverse as a definition, and we touched upon different industries, starting from retail, insurance, and then engineers how probably they can use, and education. what not, right? So different industries, how it will be useful, what sort of security challenges will be there, and what precautions needs to be taken, entertainment, like then what all the challenges are there, and of course Hanuman and Namrata, you need to take up that. So Hanuman is the most powerful man in the world, so made in India, and so we have to make him global. Okay, so with all that, I think I thank you very much, everyone. This will take some more time. My view, it is a 5 years journey from now. While we are excited, we have a lot of passion and all. To get it to the people at an affordable price, to the common people, and also for the industry to embrace it and get more value. It is a 3 to 5 years journey, is my view. Thank you so much, Suman. And thank you,
Thank
Namrata.
you.
Thank you, Dipu, Dinesh, Deepak, and Rajesh.
Thank you, speakers.
Thank
All
you,
the
Yeah,
best.
everyone.
thank you, everyone, and thank you
Yeah.
Thank you.
everyone in
Bye.
attending
Fantastic
today
session.
for this.
Bye.
We'll see you soon again next week.
Right. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.